G'day guys, what's cracking? It's Ralph here, and I have for you today the sharpest lens I've ever used. Not a word of a lie. This is the Tamron 50-300. Take a look at this. Now we're going to zoom in on this. I just put it on the camera for the very first time. I turned my camera on for the very first time. So it was the very first photo that this camera was taken in my possession, and this lens has been taken in my possession. And I just shot Lyndall, my wife, and have a look at the incredible resolution on her eye as we zoom in and in and in. Isn't that insane? Now, if that hasn't whet your appetite to stay tuned, then I don't know what will. Welcome to my makeshift studio. You're like, oh, it's a little bit budget, Ralph. It is. I'm on holidays, but I wanted to do a video while I was here. The kids are out, so that's a win. So when you pull it out of the box, it looks like this. It's actually really lightweight. It's 665 grams. It's the lightest lens of its kind in its class. It's E-Mount, so it fits on Sony E-Mount cameras. It has an extendable telescopic cannon. Has your lens hood on the back, so it fully extends to this length, and there's not too many controls except for a focus hold. So you can lock your focus with this. You can lock the lens shut with this little switch, but you can't lock it open. This is your focus ring right here, nice and small where you might need it when you're wanting to fine-tune your focus. And you have a lot of grip to change the focal length as you are holding this. And what I do need to say is the focus lock button fits really nicely right where your thumb should be, so you're not having to guess where that is. But when you turn the hood around, and if you shoot with the hood on but on reverse, it does severely limit the access you have to the focal length ring. So just be aware of that. Has a 67mm diameter, which on the other E-Mount Tamron lenses is quite familiar. And they do that so you don't have to spend a fortune on a bunch of different filters. Instead, you can just have one filter that works on all the different lenses. Perhaps not all of them, but many of them. So thanks for that, Tamron. It is also comparable with the docking station from the Tamron, which will enable you to do firmware updates on your lens and tweak some of the calibration and finer tuned things of the lens by USB-C plugged in there. Here is the bayonet. There you go. Nice and lovely and pretty standard. The lens is plastic. Yep, but this is metal. Has your nice little silver ring here just for cosmetics sake. I found the AF on this to be remarkably fast, and you'll see evidence of that in the shots I'm going to show you in just a minute. The internal motor that controls the AF is actually really quiet. Quiet to the point where I actually had to hold it up like this as I focused, not like a phone, to see if it actually made any noise at all. So I've been remarkably impressed at how quiet that is. So it's good for video. So if you want to use this for video as well as stills, then it is a goer. Here's some video I took just freehanding it to show you the vibration reduction built into the lens. And I know there's a big gimbal in there because if I shake it now, you can hear it knocking around. That stops knocking around once you're connected to the camera and you turn it on. So if you get this and you're like, hang on, it's broken. It's not broken. Don't shake it too hard. Just stick it on your camera, turn it on, and all will be well. It has a variable aperture on the low end and on the high end. So as you increase your aperture range, depending on your focal length, you can get up to an f-stop of 32 and drop it right back to an f-stop of 4.5, but that does change. 4.5 you get with the widest part of the lens, and then it reduces to 6.3 on the narrowest or the most zoomed in part of the lens. And finally, just to let you know, this, when I put it on the camera, has a minimum focusing distance of 22 centimeters from the sensor. So you can tell where the sensor is by the circle with the line through it. That's where the sensor is. 22 centimeters out is about here. So it's like half a macro lens. So if you put it on wide, 50mm, you can use this and get half the magnification that you would if it was a macro lens. That is insane. So you can get really up close with things, and it's very impressive. So I've been out in the field and taking a bunch of photos with this, and I'm going to talk you through some of those photos. Up the top of the screen will be the settings that I used for each of these shots. So I'm not going to name them every time we go through. You're just going to have to keep an eye on where it's at. I use the full gamut of focal length, speed, and aperture when it comes to this lens to give you a really good feel for what it can do. So let's start with a look at whether it vignettes.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind when we rewind.
Let's just have a look through these and you can see what you think. This is the one I showed you before, obviously. Look at that insane resolution. Oh, I wasn't even trying. Then if we go through, just going to show you how clear and crisp this comes out when I'm just having a go with some of the family. And then look at this is high speed at 1,000th of a second. It catches it really nice, clean, crisp and clear. Then I go to the plover. Look at that. It's just beautiful, isn't it? These are these crazy birds that have these nests. Looks like this. And I could have got closer and closer to this. If I'd have got too close, it would have killed me, basically. They're very aggressive. This is the high-low light. So this is unedited. If I were going to edit this, I'd just actually bump up the highlights and I would crop in and I'd drop the shadows and do a bunch of other things. But just for the sake of this photo shoot, I just think that looks really cool for what it's worth. Then it was handheld at 1/4 of a second, and as you can see, the vibration reduction is superb. That's a person moving, but look how clear and easy it was to hand hold. But you got the sun and these nice long exposures. If you set it on 300mm, you get this. Then I worked my way back and I went to 200mm, to 100, 70, 50. It zooms in that much. So if you're wondering how much you can actually zoom in, that is the answer. And then a few more family shots here. And just love, look at the textures. That's disgusting, isn't it? Hamish, what are you doing? Now this is shot on an aperture of 20. The aperture on this lens is insane, and I want to shoot it on 20. I mean, this is really clear, but you still get blurry background. Now if I go here, yeah, so because she is so close to me, everything that is not anywhere near that plane of field, doesn't matter what aperture you shoot on, it's still going to be really clear and the background's going to be somewhat blurry. There we go, f6.3. So look how blurry all of this is, but look at the detail on this cormorant as it's picked up by the sunlight. So it really pops out. This is Lindell at 6.3. So look at the difference of blurriness. That's 6.3 and this is 20. So you see that's like the holiday snap. That's getting more into the space of a proper photo that you would take with a camera that you would spend more money on, and a lens like this that you would spend less money on because it's such great value. This is a cormorant just flapping away, just like that's at 250th of a second, and look at the detail that it still catches. That's quite good for 250th, f18, so a lot of this doesn't feel like it's completely out of focus. There was this family that were playing with these bubbles, and so I wanted to see how good the autofocus did. Look at that, guys. Like, these things are flying along in the wind. They're very difficult to catch, but that shot and this shot is pretty impressive, right? Look at that. Woo! Autofocus. That's not zoomed in or anything. It's not even edited. Now, we're to this. This is on an f-stop of 29. So that's 29 with the bridge in the background. Obviously, all these rocks are in focus. But I thought it was interesting with f-stop of 29, you'd really need to focus out here to have a chance of getting most of it in focus, and then I think it would struggle because that's about a kilometer between that bridge and that cup. Here's a good example. This is f22. That's pretty in focus. See, it's all pretty much in focus. And these are raw. If you're like, oh, it doesn't look great, it's because it's raw. So you just edit raw, or you shoot in JPEG and you don't worry about editing at all. Just caught a fish too. So look at that. That's 250th of a second at f9. Picks up the fish easy, and the fish was flapping around a fair bit. So you see what I mean? It's clear, it's crisp, it's just so sharp. So sharp. So sharp. This guy was just having a drink and holding that there epic stubby holder. Oh, so good. Then at 0.002 of a second, this jet ski's coming past, and the tracking was crazy. It was so easy to track this, and the tracking held all the way through. Even when a boat came that could have jeopardized, see how clear that is still? It didn't steal the tracking because it was closer. It still held out here, but you have this textured water. Just really, really impressive. Then there was this fisherman, that's his bait. And let's just zoom in on this like an insane amount. Look at that. That's zoomed into 200%, but still just quality sharpness. These are all up and down the rock wall here in Foster where I'm staying, and really sad, but this just grabbed my attention because of its, I guess, creativity and what it means. But look how, like, it's just really good quality. It's low light. The ISO is sitting at 6,400, but there's not a ton of noise really. It's really quite impressive. An f-stop of 32. 32 is a bit insane. Let's go to sunburst. This is f-stop of 32, and look at what you get out of the sunburst, right? So that's what you get. There's a bit of light diffraction in there too, obviously. Then if we drop down to 6.3, and then we work our way back up, we go f-stop 9. It starts the sunburst at f-stop 9, but f-stop 16 is looking really solid and really nice. This is at f5.6, so the lowest f-stop it will go on a 50mm option. And then she decides to just pose. She's stunning, isn't she? Now this is manually focusing with directly into sunlight at 5.6. I really like this photo. And then I decided to change up the f-stop, so that's at f22. This is at f22 as well, but we changed where the light was on her hat, so she looked up. And then if I go over here, again f22, but you can get some creative elements happening in your photography when you start really pushing that f-stop. So this was handheld early in the morning. Look at the colors that it grabs. It was just really, really cool. So you can do landscape photography with this lens. It's just glorious, isn't it? Look at the detail that it picks up here, and you got to think that's an ISO of 200 at 1/50th. So I was had to hold that pretty still, but the vibration reduction at 1/50th, that's pretty good. And then I really like this shot. That's again 1/50th. If I zoom in, look at the quality of this. This is edited. So if I go reset, that's what it did look like. But if I go back to where we are, look at this quality, like the sharpness. That's this beak. That's crazy, right? And then like that. Look at that. It's just glorious. So good. And then they had these kookaburras that were at the park where we're staying. And a kookaburra sits in the old gum tree. Yeah, so these were a lot of fun to take. And look at the f-stop. So the f-stop 6.3. If I zoom in, his eyes are sharp, but the corner of his beak is not sharp. I was really close to these guys. This isn't edited. This isn't cropped. Nothing. I was super, super close. They were really nice like that. I love these colors here and up his wings. And look at these details here. Look at that. Like, isn't that crazy? How sharp it is. And then decide to get up really close. Really close. And that is edited, and I love it. Love it. Then we did some tracking. So I got my daughter to do a split jump, or whatever they're called. And I just shot as she did. And that's how it tracked. So let's go back here. Let's just zoom in on her face. And it was terribly dark. It was rubbish settings because of all this up here. And it was a dark, muggy day. But it tracked all the way down. And so I was really impressed with how the lens performed. Well, what did you think of those images? Here's the specs. So for those of you that really need to see these things and haven't done the homework yourself, yes, I know, stir in the pot. You can see how it's made, the different lenses in it, how many blades and elements comprise this lens, and some of the graphics about what it can do. But the question I think that's more pertinent is, what would you use this for? And this lens, in my opinion, at 50mm to 300 is perfect for travel. So if you're traveling, it's only 665 grams, so you're lightweight, you have such versatility. I mean, 50 takes you from a landscape, it'll work as landscape, and your perfect street and portrait focal range all the way up to 300. So you can snap those landscapes that are a long way away, you can snap those details that you can see but you can't get to, you can shoot wildlife and anything like that. So I'd love to know your thoughts about this lens. Are you going to buy it? Has this been beneficial, and what's been beneficial about it? Now let's get back into the warm because it's freezing out here. I told you this lens is the sharpest thing I've ever used. It's insane. Insane. So thanks so much for watching. If you've got any questions about it, please leave them in the comments below. I want to thank Tamron and Blonde Robot for working with me on lending me this. So this isn't my lens. I don't get to keep it. I've got to give it back. But it gives me the freedom to say whatever I like about it. Overly impressed. Was not expecting to be as impressed as I have been. Probably the sharpest lens I've ever used. Oh, that might come back and bite me on the bum. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. G'day guys, what's cracking? I am on holidays, but I'm coming to you with this epic lens from... G'day guys, what's cracking? It's Ralph here, and I have the most... G'day guys, what's cracking? It's Ralph here, and I have the I know, I'll be there in a sec.